So actually, we as a consumer, we don't
Are
really
you
know
aware
about
of the
it.
average per unit?
All of you are kings and queens in your own home with your own throne that you can sit up and decide and let the business continue to woo you.
March is World Consumer Rights Day, an annual occasion for celebration and solidarity within the international consumer movement. On this day, consumer organizations around the world, big and small, generate local initiatives and media coverage on a theme for their work over the coming year. And the apex body for the protection of Nigerian consumers, the Consumer Protection Council, CPC, is not left out. The World Consumer Rights Day is an opportunity to promote the basic rights of all consumers, for demanding that those rights are respected and promoted, and for protesting the market abuses and social injustices which undermine them. Welcome to another episode of Consumer Voice. This is the in-house program of the Consumer Protection Council, CPC, that tells you all about your rights as a consumer and what to do whenever you feel they have been breached. Today on the Consumer Voice, the Director General of the CPC, Mrs. Dupe Atoke, will be discussing the theme for this year's celebration. You can expect this episode to be interesting and informative. Still on the program are our usual segments, but first, we will take a short break. Stay with us.
The Consumer Protection Council, CPC, is commemorating the 2017 World Consumer Rights Day with a two-day program. Theme: Building a Digital World Consumers Can Trust. Program of events include investiture of the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Hajia Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, as Consumer Ambassador of Nigeria on Wednesday, March 15, 2017. Followed by a stakeholders workshop featuring presentations by Google, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit on Thursday, March 16, 2017. Presentations will be aimed at educating consumers on how to protect themselves from cybercrime and other challenges associated with the use of digital technology. The two-day program will also feature exhibitions from organizations whose businesses rely on the use of digital technology and other online platforms. Date: Wednesday 15th and Thursday 16th March 2017. Venue: NAF Conference Center and Suites, opposite Next Shopping Complex, Kado, Abuja. Time: 9 a.m. prompt. Her Excellency Hajia Aisha Muhammadu Buhari will on Wednesday, March 15, 2017, officially flag off the World Consumer Rights Day with inspection of the exhibition stands. World Consumer Rights Day 2017, Building a Digital World Consumers Can Trust.
Thank you for staying with us. With me in the studio is Mrs. Dupe Atoke, Director General of the Consumer Protection Council. You're welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you, Emmy.
Yes, ma'am. So please, can you tell us what the World Consumer Rights Day is all about?
The World Consumer Rights Day emanated from the presentation of the concerns of consumers to the Congress by J.F. Kennedy, the President of America, in 1962. And thereafter, that day, the 12th and the 15th of March, worldwide, becomes an international day for the recognition of the abuses that consumers go through, and that day is set aside to also sensitize consumers about their rights. And for 2017, it's just a couple of days away.
Okay. So what's the theme for this year's celebration?
Following up on the worldwide acclaim for consumer protection, there's always a theme every year where all over the world that theme will be propagated, and as consumers will be sensitized for the year. So it may start on March 15th, but it goes on through the whole year until the following year when there's another theme that has been internationally recognized. There's a process to that where issues of consumers are weighed, and the Consumer International, which is a global body housing over 200 countries, of which Nigeria is one of, is the coordinator of most consumer protection agencies all over the world. And the theme for this year is building a digital world consumers can trust.
Okay, so what's the term digital world? What exactly does it mean?
We use that word so often, but it's a technology of doing things away from the mechanical or analog system that we used to. Now, let me just give you a few examples that will help us to understand. If you recall our telephone sets of the 50s, they were manual, and you had to manually ring through each number to make a call. That was analog. Now, what do we have as telephones now? Sometimes we can actually just speak to the phone without touching. So that is what digitalization is all about. A system where it's most of the programs are automated, and you don't need to even touch sometimes. We take our wristwatches, for instance, again. If we go like 3 centuries back, 3 decades back, you literally have to wind your watch every day. Otherwise, it stops working. Now, we graduated to with the batteries, which gives it a longer life. But right now, you actually have digital watches that just by swinging your arm, it comes on and tells you 1 p.m., 2 a.m. So we don't have to walk through the process of checking and looking at the time. Oh, I think it's the long hand is on 1 and the short hand is on 2. So we, at a glance, we can actually know what the time is. And then we look at our documentation. Back again, the only form of proper storage of information was paper. That it was paper storage or files. And if you had an issue with any fire disaster, you lost everything. But right now, we can store information in different ways, in a flash that is not longer than a fingertip, in your computers, in your telephones, or now we can actually store them in the cloud, as it were. So that's what the digital is doing, a system is doing. If you look at the financial sector, where all of us have one form of digital maneuvering to do, in the banks now, you don't have to go to the bank to make a payment or to transfer money to someone. You just sit in the comfort of your home and you do online transfers and you do online payment for products or goods, and you can make e-payments for your bills. We couldn't do that if we were still working within the analog system, where you go to the bank, somebody types it on, and sometimes it takes you 3 days, 4 days before an account is credited. Right now, it's credited on the spot. And one amazing use of digital system for me, which I still find very interesting, is the use of the GPS in navigating from one place to the other. Prior to now, if you didn't know where you were going, and you are lucky to have a map, you would be walking through the maps, and sometimes you may end up not even getting to your destination because you may have missed a little thing. So I could decide to travel from Abuja to Kaduna. I've never been to Kaduna before, but I have an address, and all you need is just to key it into the process, and voila, it takes you to Kaduna right at the stops, and it tells you in 15 seconds you're at your destination. And that's an amazing world of the digital age that we live in, where a system will maneuver you through rivers, huge highways and take you to a home without you having an input. I think that technological advancement is something that really blows one's mind. But then I think they haven't even finished yet, because we now have what we call the electronic cars that are self-driven and without a driver, all monitored from a digital platform. And again, those of us who travel a lot, now we don't have to go to the airport to buy our tickets. We can do that. We don't even have to use a travel agent. We can actually just log in online and buy a ticket. And you can actually check in online. Sometimes it's very fascinating when you choose a seat, because you see the airline image, and you can choose if you want an aisle seat, a center seat, or whatever, and it's done. You just walk in. If you have a box, you drop it, and off you go. But I think that by far what most women would enjoy is the virtual trading, where you don't have to go to the market anymore. You can just do your shopping online. You can order for your Pampers, and it will be delivered to you at your doorstep. And you can pay online without going anywhere. So the list of the digital innovation is unending, but this gives us a clue as to the fact that our lives have been revolutionized by the digital system. And I did say that probably what is not controlled now is how we breathe. Otherwise, you can actually live a life that is fully digitalized.
I've bought some things online, but it's not on Nigerian online banking. Sometimes when they buy something, they will bring the product. If you don't confirm it, maybe when you check it later, you see that the stuff is not what you asked for, so which is not proper.
I've bought, let me say, a watch. I used the watch for like 2 weeks. And that 2 weeks, the watch started spoiling. And it's not what I saw in the picture, it's what they sent to me.
In an advanced country, you don't do things in the local way. You go online, you stay in your home, you do shopping, you buy cars, you do banking, 100%. Last year, I think 2 years ago, I could say I've stayed 8 months without entering bank physically, and I've carried out business of hundreds of millions.
Thank you so much, Ma. It's clear that the digital age has quite significantly impacted our lives. Now, as the apex body protecting consumers, what challenges does this system pose to the Nigerian consumer on the streets?
Well, as with all good things in life, there's always a downside to it. We all bask in the euphoria of how our lives are made simpler and how communication is easier, how doing business transactions are more convenient. But it come also with some challenges for the consumers, which, from our own point of view of the protector of consumers, we believe are generated by the businesses themselves. One of the challenges that has emanated from the digital system is the data protection, because in using most of these digital processes, you need to enter some personal information of yours. Sometimes your date of birth, your IDs in different forms, and these, to some extent,